You ever had a sheriff hand you an eviction notice for your own road? Because that's exactly how my Tuesday started. There I was, coffee still hot, hands dirty from fixing the fence, and the sheriff looks at me with that "sorry, I have to do this" face. "Ma'am says you're trespassing every time you drive to your cabin." "Rex," he tells me. "HOA claims that dirt road belongs to them now." I glanced at the paper, then at the shiny new chain stretched tight across the only path home. You could still feel the heat from the morning sun on those metal links, smell the concrete curing on the brand new barrier posts. And beyond all that, my grandpa's old cabin sitting there like a hostage waiting for me to come back. I pointed past the creek at the bridge, my bridge. "Sheriff, see that 200 yards away? That's the only way in or out. You reckon those folks in Pristine Meadows are ready to swim to work?" For a second, he actually looked like he was doing the math. "You ever been trapped by your own neighbors?" "What state are you watching from?" Go ahead, drop your own HOA horror story down below. My name's Rex Donovan, and if you'd asked me 3 months ago, I'd have told you my biggest problem was picking between night crawlers and spinners for trout. Yeah, that happened. And boy, I had no idea just how sideways life can get. I'm 52, retired Army Corps of Engineers, spent a quarter century building bridges in places where folks were always trying to blow them up. When my grandpa passed, he left me his slice of Montana heaven, 40 acres, an old cedar cabin perched over Willow Creek, and enough timber to build a town. Best of all, he left me Grandpa Joe's bridge. Built in 1923, hand-hewn cedar, the kind of craftsmanship you just can't buy anymore. Every morning, the smell of that aged wood would drift through my coffee sunlight, spilling over the mountain's creek mist swirling at my feet. The water running over those stones below. Better than any meditation app these city folks pay for. For 30 years, life was simple. Cross my bridge fish until the world made sense. Listen to gravel crunch under my old Chevy's tires. Then some genius discovered you could slap luxury homes on old ranch land, call it Pristine Meadows. Yes, that's the real name, because apparently irony is dead, and sell them for the price of a Manhattan penthouse. 200 mini mansions, one-lane road, and not a lick of infrastructure except what I kept running for free. They called it rustic luxury living, which is code for charge 800 grand, so you can complain about the realities of rural life. You want to hear the kicker? The developer saved a fortune by just assuming I'd keep maintaining my bridge like some invisible caretaker. Enter Cordelia Whitmore, our villain for tonight. Picture every nightmare HOA story you've heard, then give her a law degree and a taste for imported perfume. She's mid-40s, drives a white BMW, the kind you can smell armor all on from 50 feet. Cordelia got elected HOA president about 5 minutes after she moved in on a campaign to protect community standards, which really meant make everyone's life hell until the neighborhood matched her Pinterest boards. First thing, she started forming committees, architectural review, landscaping, community improvement, all full of folks who moved to Montana to get away from neighbors, only to turn around and micromanage everyone else. At first, it was small stuff. Could I not run my chainsaw on Saturdays? Were my solar panels too urban? Would I paint the cabin something less weathered? I ignored it. Rookie mistake, because that's when she got serious. Rookie. See, the original developer had promised a new community bridge within 5 years, but skipped town bankrupt. No bridge, no backup. Solution. Just commandeer mine, but only if it met their standards. Fresh paint, fancy railings, new signage, and of course, all at my expense. I ignored their 90-day ultimatum, and Cordelia played her ace. If I wouldn't play ball, maybe I didn't deserve road access at all. They chained my road shut a week later. And just like that, I was a prisoner in my own home watching Mercedes, BMWs, Teslas roll across my bridge every morning like nothing happened. The irony was so thick you could shovel it. Cordelia showed up that first Tuesday with a clipboard, a camera guy, and perfume so strong it could knock a moose down. "Mr. Donovan," she called, "we need to discuss immediate safety concerns." I just sat there sipping my coffee, enjoying the show. She started measuring railings, quoting county codes, and rattling off violations like she was reading a menu. Her camera guy snapped photos of every nail and knot. "This structure is clearly substandard," she said. "You could be liable for accidents. Do you have insurance for 200 families? All that confidence, all that homework?" She was so sure she'd found the magic words to make me cave. So I stood up, grabbed my own camera, and started snapping photos of them. "You're absolutely right, Cordelia. Let's document everything. Bridge needs a full safety eval. Better shut it down while we wait for an engineering review." "Huh?" Suddenly her face goes white. "Shut it down." "You can't do that, ma'am. If it's as dangerous as you say, wouldn't that be the responsible thing?" I could see her panic. As the realization dawned, no bridge, no commute, no community. Long story short, the county inspector showed up, took one look at Grandpa Joe's handiwork, and laughed so hard he nearly dropped his clipboard. "This thing's better built than half our county bridges," he said. But humiliation just made Cordelia meaner. She started a campaign, told everyone I was unstable, a dangerous vet, even said I'd threatened her with violence. That lie caught fire in a small town faster than a grass fire in August. Next, she buried me in complaints, noise zoning, environmental violations, all designed to tie me up with paperwork and legal fees. But her masterpiece, an emergency HOA meeting, where she presented me as a threat, hired private security, even talked about eminent domain. That's when I realized it wasn't about the bridge anymore. It was about power, and maybe something darker. So I hit back. Printed signs. Private bridge toll, $5, exact change. Sat out there in my chair, coffee can at my feet. First morning, they forked over the bills in shock. By noon, the news was all over Pristine Meadows. Some tried arguing, but the county said as long as I let emergency vehicles cross free and posted the rules, I was within my rights. Best $800 I ever made. But Friday night, someone sabotaged the bridge clean cuts on support cables, the kind that don't show until they fail under pressure. Security cameras caught just enough a masked figure in expensive hiking boots working with bolt cutters. Sunday, I fixed the bridge myself, stronger than ever. Monday, Rita Rowan, my inside gal, knocked with casserole and bad news. Cordelia had convinced half the HOA I was a domestic terrorist, and now they were voting to force me to sell through eminent domain. That's when things turned ugly. Certified letters from Cordelia's lawyers, chainsaw marks on underwater supports, even explosives found under the bridge beams. You read that right, professional-grade demo charges set to make the whole thing collapse during rush hour and wipe out the evidence. I called the sheriff and handed over all my footage. And you know what he said, "Rex? This isn't civil anymore. This is criminal. Let us handle it." Enter the twist. Maggie Sullivan. My lawyer digs up the smoking gun. Cordelia had borrowed $2.3 million for a new bridge, spent it all on personal luxuries, and when home values dipped, she faced bankruptcy, foreclosure, and fraud charges. The bridge battle wasn't about access. It was about Cordelia hiding a financial train wreck. That night at Murphy's Tavern, the plan came together. Me, Maggie, Rita Buck, the contractor, and Father Miguel, the moral compass of the county. We called a community meeting. Laid out the evidence, bank records, invoices, security footage. The whole rotten mess. Cordelia tried to play the victim, called me an extortionist, claimed I was holding the community hostage. Until I played the audio of her trying to bribe me with $1 million in cash right after planting explosives on my bridge. Sheriff Morrison stepped forward. "Ladies and gentlemen, military explosives were found under Mr. Donovan's bridge. This is a criminal investigation now." The room turned. Neighbors who'd once doubted me were now looking at Cordelia like she'd sprouted horns. Tom Bradley, the retired teacher, stood up. "Cordelia, I gave you $47,000 from our fundraising. Where'd it go?" She mumbled about municipal finance. He cut her off. "I know theft when I see it. I know lying to people who trusted you." Father Miguel closed it out. "This community gave you trust, money, and hope. You gave us lies and danger. Is there anything you want to say?" Cordelia broke finally. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispered, blaming her crimes on helping the community. But I had the last word. Folks, we can dwell on what went wrong or we can fix it. I offered them three choices: formal bridge sharing for a maintenance fee, build their own bridge, or let law handle Cordelia and vote for new leadership. The vote wasn't even close. Community over conflict, hands raised for the sharing plan. Sheriff Morrison cuffed Cordelia, who left with nothing but the weight of her own choices. 6 months later, the bridge stood stronger than ever. New lights railings carved with my grandpa's designs, neighbors working together. Cordelia got 7 years for fraud. Her Seattle mansions went to cover the losses. Tom Bradley became HOA president. Sarah, the nurse, fixed the finances. Rita tracked every dollar. You know the best part? People stopped being strangers. Kids came by to learn about bridges. Families invited me over for dinner. The story spread nationwide. People reached out with their own tales, seeking advice. Father Miguel told me, "Rex, maybe you ought to teach what you've learned." So I did. I started a YouTube channel on HOA rights, and it exploded. Folks sent letters, pictures, victories over their own little tyrants. 2 years on, Pristine Meadows holds a bridge festival every summer. Music, food, kids playing in the creek, neighbors who remember what real community looks like. That old bridge still stands stronger than ever, holding up not just cars, but a neighborhood that finally learned how to stand up for itself. So here's my message to you. Don't let bullies, no matter how fancy their degrees, steal what your family built. Document everything, know your rights, and never back down. Tell me your own HOA nightmares in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you believe common sense still belongs in America. Sometimes the best way to build a bridge is being ready to close it first. And you know what? As the creek bubbled under my feet and the last rays caught the mountains on fire, I could almost hear my grandpa laughing. Yeah, that happened.